नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायामुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टके कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 18, verse number 10. Yas tva etat krichrastas chirnam tapo niyashreyasam mahat kamalya piyase युज्जाद बालिशा को अपरास तथा यस्त्वे एताच कृच्छ्रतश्चिर्णं तपो निःश्रेयसं महात् कामलापायसे युज्यात् बालिशा को परस्तता यस्त्वे एतात् कृच्छ्रतश्चिर्णं तपो निःश्रेयसं महात् कामलापाय पीयसे युज्नात् बालिशा को परस्तता यस्त्वे एताच कृच्छ्रतश्चिर्णं तपो निःश्रेयसं महात् कामलापायसे युज्यात् बालिशा को परस्तता Mataji's. Yah, one who, two, indeed, etat, this, krichrataha, with great penances, chirnam, for a long time, tapah, austerity, niyashreyasam, awarding ultimate liberation, mahat, glorious, kamaya, for sense gratification, alpiyase, insignificant, yunjat, practices, Balisha, such a fool. Ka, who. Aparaha, else. Tataha, besides him. Translation: one who with long endeavor executes this painful but exalted penance, which awards ultimate liberation, simply to achieve insignificant sense gratification, must be considered the greatest fool. Purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Purport: although the process of Vanaprastha described by Lord Krishna is so glorious that even the consolation prize is promotion to Maharloka, one who consciously performs this process for such promotion to heaven is certainly the greatest fool. The Lord does not want this process to be abused or exploited by materialistic rascals, for the ultimate goal is love of Godhead. Om Gyan Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindabaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's okay. So we are continuing our beautiful discussion. It's going on since so many chapters. A beautiful discussion between Lord Krishna and Uddhav. And herein he is describing the chapter entitled is Description of the Varnashram Dharma, specifically the Dharma as a Vanaprastha. I've described previously the duties of the Brahmachari, about a Grihastha, and now we are discussing for the last many verses, discussing about the duties of a Vanaprastha, wherein he has explained very in detail the whole idea of how the whole process is of slowly detaching oneself, to detach oneself from all the material situations of life. A Vanaprastha sometimes obviously travels with his wife or without his wife, goes to the forest, and the whole process is explained about detachment. And this particular verse talks about, Krishna is making it very, very clear. The previous verses were description, more of description of how Vanaprastha ashram should be. In this verse, Krishna is actually making a very clear judgment. Because only Krishna can make judgments. Because none of us have the right to make a judgment. Because we are not perfect. Only a person who is perfect can make a judgment. Because Jesus Christ explained, judge not, for thou shalt not be judged. because since we are imperfect and will remain imperfect, we are fallible, we are always bound to be having mistakes. The tendency to commit mistakes is part of our human tendency. So we should not and we cannot make judgments. But Krishna can make judgment because he is infallible, he is perfect. So Krishna is saying very clearly here that one who does this long, painful endeavor, I think previous verses, it talks about a lot of penances that a person does, his body becoming practically emaciated, is just skin and bones that a Vanaprastha lives. He is practically surviving on water and few berries and roots. That's what is explained. So slowly the body becomes emaciated, and is explaining that he meditates upon Krishna within his heart. So the whole process in the last 9 verses was describing the whole content or the whole way a Vanaprastha should live. But he's explaining here very clearly, he gives an indication in the previous verse, but explains very clearly here. Indication is that the whole purpose of the whole process is to remember me. Krishna says ultimately the whole purpose of life is to remember Krishna. That to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna is the sum and bonum of all instruction in the scriptures. And rest, all of the principles are kinkara, are simply servant of these principles. Seva kinkara, that they all serve the principle, and the principle that we always want to remember is to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. And Krishna makes it very clear here that one who with long endeavor executes this painful but exalted penance which awards ultimate liberation simply to achieve insignificant sense gratification must be considered the greatest fool. I mean, it's quite a superlative degree of explanation. It is not just saying a fool, a greatest fool, quite superlative. So it's saying the greatest fool, because if you endeavor all this tapasya, but your ultimate purpose is to get some sense gratification, and that's what's explained, that if you are not perfected your life, then you will end up into Maharlok or Rishilok. Right? It is heavenly planet, where there you get sense gratification and there you remember Krishna, then you will be promoted to the kingdom of God. But if you are not remembering Krishna in the whole process, actually Krishna says you are a fool. You are doing this whole thing for some sense gratification, because there is sense gratification everywhere. Maya jale baddha hoye, acho meche kache loye, ek kono chaitanya pe, Radha Madhav naam karo re. It's a beautiful bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said, Maya jale baddha hoye, that you have been bound by Maya jal. Acho meche kache loye, that you have nothing else to do but simply enjoy sense gratification. Ek kono chaitanya pe. But now you come to your senses, you come to your chaitanya, you come to your senses. And when you come to your senses, now you have got this human form of life. Radha Madhav naam karo re. Then you chant the holy names of Radha Madhav and deliver yourself. Jivana hoilo shesh, na bhajilo rishikesh, bhakti vinor opadesh ekbar naam rasa matare. Beautiful bhajan, Gai Gora Madhur Sware. He says in the last line, he said, Jivana hoilo shesh, that very soon your life is going to end. I mean, what is the value of 40 years or 30 years or 20 years or 60 years? It's just about to end. As you born, we are about to die. So we are Jivana hoilo shesh, na bhajilo rishikesh. If you are not remember Rishikesh, the master of the senses, you are simply being entangled in the network of the senses. What's that verse by Kulashekar? What is the verse? Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaj Panjarantam Advaita Vishatame Manasu Rajahamsa Pranapanaya Samavek Vavata Pittau Kanthavrodhana Vidau Smaratam Kuthaste. Is he asking a question? Kuthaste? Question mark. How will I ever remember Krishna? When I'm dying, my throat is choked with kava, vata and pitta, with kanthavradhana smaratam kuthaste. So that's why let my senses be entangled into the, and let the swan of my mind be entangled into the network of your lotus feet. That's a beautiful verse. That the swan of my mind. Now, this right now. Similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Jivan hoilo shesh, na bhajilo rishikesh. Right now you have to worship Krishna. Bhajo hure mana Shri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vrindure. So all acharyas are saying to the mind, my dear mind, think of Krishna now. Bhakti Vinod Upadesh Ekabar Nama Rasamatare. There's a Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving you Upadesh. See, this is a special thing. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving you instruction. It's an Upadesh. It's not even a request, it's an instruction. Ekabar Nama Rasamatare. There at least once taste the nectar of the holy name. Ekbar Nam Rasa Matare. The taste, the nectar, the rasa of the holy name. At least once. So he's saying at least once. That means it is not just at least once. Yes, I thought it is very difficult. It's very difficult. But at least Jivan Hoilo Shesh, before your life actually ends, Jivan Hoilo Shesh, at least once think of Krishna. So the whole purpose, as is explained here, the whole purpose of the whole process that Krishna said to explain with so many details is to develop love of God. By practicing rituals which are to do the positive and ignore the negative and positive rituals that we do, we can at the most reach to the heavenly planets. But if those rituals are not actually helping us, please understand, the rituals are by themselves not capable of taking us back to Godhead. Let's be very clear about that. Many a times the rituals are seen as if I do these rituals, I'll go back to Godhead. No. The ritual of the chanting is a ritual. But the chanting, you're putting your heart into it, that takes you back to Godhead. Deity worship is it's a practice, a ritual. But if you put your mind into it, the consciousness into it, then it becomes perfect. That's why Srila Prabhupada called very interesting our society as International Society for Krishna Consciousness and not International Society for Krishna Activity. It is not an activity-based society, but it's a consciousness-based society. Because we do so many activities. Practically as we get up in the morning, our activities start. Brahmacharis, they run and mark their attendance, they come for Mangala Arati, and the Grihasthas, they get up and do their daily chores, and it's every single moment we are doing activity. But that activity by itself is not going to make us perfect our life. That activity is simply a ritual. But the ritual, if we add the Krishna factor, the thoughts about Krishna, the consciousness, Hobe prema pradipe aroti tomar. Very interesting. There's this Mama Mana Mandire Raho Nishadin Ekabar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Hobe prema pradipe. It is saying that let the wick of my mind be dipped into the love of my heart. See, very beautiful description. Hobe prema pradipe. Pradipe is just a wick, right? You have lit the wick and you do arti. But that arti is not of any value because it's simply a ritual. But Hobe prema pradipe. It didn't just say pradeep. He says, Hobe prema pradipe aroti tomar. Jivane marane, whatever he says in the bhajan. But this verse is something which I first heard it way back in 1989. It made so much sense as if there is a clear understanding of what we should do all the time is the consciousness. Hobe prema pradipe aroti tomar. That means you dip the wick of your mind into the love of your heart and then you do the arti. That's what is pleasing to Krishna. Jivane marane tora puja nivedan. And then you say, Nayane Jamuna Jore Anibar. The Jamuna from your eyes in the form of tears will not just come just by doing ritual of Aarti. You will keep on doing Aarti for the rest of your life. There will be no change in your heart. You will keep on chanting the ritual of chanting for the rest of your life. 5:30 in the morning, fixed 5:45, you sit straight back. But it's still a ritual. That's why Krishna is so beautifully explaining here. You will do all these powerful rituals. Of emaciating your body and all sorts of very, very exalted, he is using the word, long endeavor executed with painful but exalted penance. So Krishna is no doubt saying it is exalted, very difficult, very powerful. But at the same time, which awards ultimate liberation. If you are doing all these things simply to achieve some different flavor of sense gratification, I mean, the flavor changes when you're on the earth planet. There's a particular flavor. When you go to the heavenly planet, the flavor changes. I mean, you get glucose biscuit here and you get cream biscuit there, but it's biscuit after all. you have just some cream inside, but it's after all a biscuit. Here you get some Parle glucose biscuit and you have to just be happy with that. But it's the same flavor, my dear friend. So it's saying that if you just use the same penances without the real purpose of it, then it's simply the greatest foolish person who is doing this. Rather than doing so many things, just think about me. Or I would not say rather than doing this. I would say along with doing this. I'm sorry, that's the wrong word that I used. I said along with doing whatever you're doing, the penances are required. Tapo divyam putra kena sattvam, that divya tapasya is required. But along with penances, if you do not have a clear understanding that you have to infuse that penance with the right consciousness of pleasing Krishna, pleasing the devotees, then it is shrama eva hi kevalam, absolutely a waste of time. So Krishna is saying that person, in my opinion, my dear friend, it's not our opinion. Krishna is saying he is not just one of the fools, he is the greatest fool. Now that's quite serious. Krishna is saying you are a greatest fool. And he's making a judgment, and the only person who can make judgment, as I explained previously, is Krishna. So his judgment is to be taken very, very seriously. Like Krishna is saying you are a fool. So the whole purpose, I was just recently seeing a video, we get so many videos, you know. So there's one person who was very enthusiastic, and he was on the third floor, I mean swimming pool is there, and they have this first floor, second floor, third floor, they jump, and they got twisted around and they jump, right? That's, what is it called? It's, springboard or something, whatever. Huh? So there was on this, and he was just, preparing to jump. But if you don't give, I mean, he was excited to jump, but he didn't give the right push. So instead of jumping in the water, he fell on the land. You understand what I'm saying? So instead of going little away and the water is here, you just jump down. So it just made some sense. Similarly, a devotee may do all the endeavors, but you don't get the right push of a consciousness. Instead of jumping into the river of the mercy of the Lord, you jump on the land and get a big tub, and that's why you end up into Marlok, Rishilok, Tapalok and all these things. You understand? you might do all the gymnastics on the springboard, and and now I'll jump, and then you do all your activities, but you don't give the right push. You just boom. I said, what happened? I say you open your eyes and where have I landed? Where is Krishna? Where is Marlok? And you are in Marlok, Tapalok, Janalok, all this with different flavor of sense gratification. So the push is required, my dear friends. Please understand. You might do all, you might even climb to the third floor and be ready to jump, but if you don't give the right push. It was a very funny video. That they're making all the endeavors, but he jumps and he falls on the land, flat on his head, breaks his head. But if you give little push, then you actually fall in the water. And then you achieve the purpose of falling in the water. But as Krishna is explaining, you do all the endeavors. It's like all the endeavor. But you don't give the right push, then you end up in Maharlok or Rishilok. I could really see a graphic understanding how funny it is that if somebody does an endeavor and falls on the land. Similarly, Krishna is seeing this visually and saying, you are a fool. How funny it is that you do all the endeavors and you end up in Janalok, Tapalok. Nothing against those lokas, but it's only that we are just trying to taste a different flavor of sense gratification. That's all it is. And that's not what we are doing this whole process for. So the whole purpose of executing bhakti is to perfect our life, and the perfection of life is to always think of Krishna. I mean, we are not talking about a physical planet called Golok Vrindavan where we want to go. Yes, that may not be, but the whole purpose of existence is to always think of Krishna, and then wherever we are in Krishna Loka. I mean, let's not really think, oh, let me go to that physical planet. I mean, it's a matter of consciousness. So whole purpose is to think of Krishna, and the only powerful way to always think of Krishna is to think of the lotus feet of Krishna. That, we have this beautiful bhajan, Ekona Bhujinu Prabhu Tomara Charane. And in this bhajan, again it is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajan, he is glorifying the lotus feet of Krishna. That Je Pada Paiya Shiva Shivatva Lobhiya, Je Pada Paiya Rama, whatever, how Lakshmi is worshipping the lotus feet of Krishna. Shiva has got his Shivatva from the lotus feet. Je Pada Narada Muni Sirete Dhoriya. He's holding it on his head. So he's glorifying the lotus feet of Krishna. Ekona Bhujinu Prabhu Tomara Charane Ashoka Bhayamrita. Very interesting. That by worshipping the lotus feet of Krishna, Shoka and Bhaya is gone. Ashoka Bhayamrita. and you get the nectar, bhai, the nectar of the release from this Ashoka and bhai. Ashoka Bhayamrita. Very interesting. So the purpose of life, of whatever we are doing, is to always think of the lotus feet of Krishna. So today I said that while we are discussing about lotus feet of Krishna, why we want to really be Krishna conscious, let's talk about the Krishna's lotus feet for a few minutes. And beautiful things that Krishna is teaching through his lotus feet. If we worship Krishna's lotus feet, there are beautiful lessons that we learn that will give us inspiration and encouragement to continue our process of bhakti. So in Krishna's feet, which is unique, there is not a single person, there's no single person in this world who has such feet which are marked with beautiful symbols in his feet. Not one, not two, but so many of them. I didn't count, but I mean there are many. There is a number to it. The Radharani has so many, Lord Nityananda has so many, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has so many, Krishna has so many. So let us today just try to meditate upon each of these symbols. I thought it would be beautiful to understand that Krishna has the half moon. Now, it's not that Krishna decided, okay, so while he was coming to this, okay, let me decide, moon, arrow, it was not some random decision that Krishna, okay, let this be on my feet. It was not very random and not some, there's a purpose, there's a whole deep meaning to all these symbols that Krishna, and when the devotee is meditating upon the lotus feet and he sees the symbols, he has a beautiful ocean of knowledge that he can gain, and not just knowledge, but inspiration to continue his bhakti. So it is explained, the half moon, there's a beautiful half moon on Krishna's lotus feet. And the half moon signifies that even the half moon is a symbol of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the symbol of half moon. So the half moon is that it signifies that even devatas like Shiva, they take the lotus feet of Krishna upon his head, as we sang in this bhajan. So that half moon signifies that. It also shows the devotees who who take the lotus feet of Krishna upon their head, in due course they will become as exalted and as detached as Lord Shiva. We can never become like Shiva, but as detached and exalted like Lord Shiva. So when you see that half moon, you should also know that the half moon is like the beautiful cooling rays that the moon gives, which can cool our burning heart. And what more, we are experiencing burning right now in this season. We know the pains of burning. Samsara dava nala leader loka, Suraj ki agni se jalte huwe man ko. That beautiful song. Our mind has been burning by the heavy sun, the three tapa, the three types of miseries. They are burning us. So this moon gives three understandings, my dear friends. The three understandings. The first is, even Lord Shiva is taking the lotus feet upon his head. That is the first understanding. Second understanding is that if you have that lotus feet, then you will become exalted and detached like Lord Shiva, because that moon is representing Lord Shiva. And the third is that just like the moon, which is constantly sharing beautiful cooling rays, and it just rids us of all the pains and all the sufferings that we go through. Similarly, we are constantly meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna, then we can be released. What is that song? Nityananda Prabhu's lotus feet. Nitai pada kamala koti chandra shushitala echayai jagat jurai. It is not just one moon, it is koti chandra shushitala. Millions and millions of moons are showering, are sharing their cooling rays over us. And then there is this beautiful bow. Krishna, there is a bow in the lotus feet of Krishna. It shows that, very interesting, that if someone is not attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna, that is as stupefied, as motionless as a target of the bow, and it becomes a very short target to be shot. Like what the target is, that is motionless, and you shoot and you get hit. Similarly, the bow signifies that please don't become motionless and stupefied. Now stupefied has two meanings. Either you are stupid, or stupefied also means you are motionless, you are just standing. And if you are motionless, then you become an easy target. So if you do not have the enthusiasm to get attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna is saying through this bow, then you will become an easy target to the arrows of Maya. So please get attracted to my lotus feet and don't become motionless, become active in my service. And if you're active in my service, then you won't become the prey to Maya. That's what the bow is teaching us. Furthermore is explained, very sweet explanation this one is, when the mind of a devotee meets the target of the feet, that means the mind is like the arrow which has been shot, and target is the feet. When a mind meets the target of the feet, usually when the arrow is shot, what happens? Blood comes out. I mean, we show this in a mundane way. We show heart and an arrow going inside and blood dropping in, right? I mean, we saw Valentine's Day, somebody has pierced my heart and there's blood coming out. Yeah, it's just a very mundane thing. But similarly, this bow is showing us that the mind of a devotee, when it hits the target, then prem in the condensed form start overflowing from our heart in a form of tears. Interesting, beautiful, isn't it? The bow is used, and then the arrow is our mind, and when the mind and the bow is the activities, through our activities we shoot through the mind to the lotus feet of Krishna. We are constantly thinking of Krishna. Then it pierces the lotus feet of Krishna. I mean, not pierces in a literal sense, not causing harm to him. But and through that our heart starts oozing condensed love, which is seen through the tears of our eyes. When will that day come? It's explained when aparadha gucci, and what is that? That when my body will be Gauranga bolite habe pulaka sharira, Hari Hari bolite nayane babe nira. Beautiful bhajan by Narottam Das Thakur. That when will that day come when simply chant the names of Gauranga, there will be tears flowing from my eyes and my body will stand on ends, just like recently I saw. It's explained that the hair standing is just like the flower of the kadamba. There's three beautiful flowers growing in the tree just now, and I was seeing that how they were beautiful, straight, sharp, kadamba flowers. This thing. Similarly, that when will the day come when our hand will become like kadamba, straight? When we chant the name of Gauranga, we chant the name of Krishna. So it is explained that this bow is signifying that please let your mind always target the my lotus feet, because if you do that, someday, when the heart is pure, tears will come from your heart, which are seen through the eyes in the form of loving emotions for Krishna. Similarly, the sky, there's a symbol of the sky which explains the lotus feet are all pervading. It's all manifesting. The lotus feet, all that exists is lotus feet of Krishna, and it's beautifully explained by this beautiful Leela of Vamanadev. Ev is all pervasive. There's 3 feet, 2 feet, and everything that existed was just a huge lotus feet of Krishna. And it also means the lotus feet of Krishna is all pervasive like the sky. Similarly, devotional service is all pervasive. There is never a time where we cannot execute devotional service. There's always ways and means to serve Krishna. That's what is signified. Krishna is saying always that don't worry. If you don't have this service, this is service. It's always there. My feet is always there. It's always manifesting. Always ready to accept your service. Then there's a beautiful imprint of a cow hoof print. Gospada, a hoof print of a calf. And it's explained as our Acharya Rupa Goswami explains. This signifies that by constant, interesting word, uninterrupted meditation upon the lotus feet of Krishna. Very interesting. Not just off and on. Uninterrupted meditation upon Krishna. The great ocean of worldly existence is reduced to a small hoof print of a calf where we can easily cross over it. The Krishna is saying, do not worry. Many times when we think of Krishna, Krishna said, oh my God, devotional service is too much it's very difficult. I'm sure all of us experience. I don't have to ask to raise your hands. We all are finding it extremely difficult. Especially after you spend 10-15 years. It should not be the case, but that's the way bhakti is all about. Initially it's just fun. As I was explaining, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we think that everybody is a pure devotee and I am the most fallen. That's what we all think, right? Sub pure devotee. A be pure devotee, A be pure devotee, A be pure devotee, and I am the most fallen. Because when in that mood we become, we can execute Krishna consciousness very beautifully, but as we spend more time, we become too analytical. We go through this very difficult phenomenon of paralysis through analysis, because we start analyzing things, because we start thinking that we are something. And when we think we are something, we start analyzing things. This is not right, that is not right, this is the way it should be done, this is the way it should be done. Analysis causes paralysis. Just like the centipede, when he was dancing without analysis, he was dancing very nicely, but somebody asked the centipede, how do you dance so well? Do you put a 131st leg foot, and then the 72nd leg foot, and then the 31st, and then the 27th? And then he started thinking, oh my God, I don't know this. So then when he started dancing next time, he was quite analytical, and he couldn't dance properly because he was just too analytical. Which leg is putting in the front? Similarly, devotional service, you add analysis to it, you go through paralysis. You go through difficulties. That's why this, let's remember that Krishna is assuring us, don't worry, I know it is difficult. I know you're going through lot of difficulty. It's not easy to even chant 16 rounds. Maintaining the vows is difficult. It's so much of attraction, so much of desires, plus this 40 years of midlife situation that many of us are in. So many desires are coming out which I never did. I'm going through this phase, my dear Krishna. What do I do? He said, don't worry. Just remember. Just continue your uninterrupted meditation upon my lotus feet, and I guarantee you. And again, Krishna is infallible. His guarantee is actually a guarantee. Other people's guarantee is not a guarantee because they are fallible. They're fallible soldiers. I guarantee you. And then there's a beautiful fish on Krishna's lotus feet. The fish signifies, there's just like fish cannot stay without water. Similarly, a surrendered devotee cannot stay without the association of the lotus feet of Krishna. The fish is showing that. And it also means, just if the mind is fickle, just like a fish is wavering here and there. So, if you want to have my feet, Krishna is saying, don't be fickle like the fish. Just going here. You've seen the fish in the, you see in the pond or in the thing. It just goes here and here and there, here. You've seen it's quite a, very, very, what you call, jerky movements. Very jerky. It's not smooth. It maybe goes straight like this. Right? Similarly, the mind is going nice straight, thinking of Krishna, and suddenly, thinks of something else, then suddenly here. I said, why am I doing this? All jerks are there constantly, isn't it? We all are going through jerks every day. It's not a smooth flow. It goes on for some time and you think, oh, things are going on well. Things are going well. I'm quite Krishna conscious. It goes for some few days and one jerk comes. And then one more jerk. And then you think the jerk of IPL. Oh my God, IPL has come again. All my previous conditionings of IPL, and then you want to see on your match, oh, this is CSK versus MI. Okay. One more jerk, and the jerk of being the controller, the jerk of having some other desires. So it's jerky. As the Krishna is saying, don't have jerky movements. Otherwise, you will never achieve things. Don't be like the fish is saying. It also indicates that lotus feet, we come to live in one's heart. If the heart is similarly, the fish can stay only in water. So Krishna is saying that this fish on my lotus feet, if the fish has no liquid, it cannot survive, it will die. Similarly, if you want me to stay in your heart, if you want my lotus feet to be in your heart, make your heart liquid. Don't make it tough. Don't make it hard, because if there is no liquid, I can't survive in your heart. Liquefy your emotions, make it more intense. In that intense emotions of your heart, I will be able to stay there. Divyat Brindaranya Kalpudrumada Siman Ratnagara Singhasanastho Shishi Radha Shila Govinda Deva Presthali Seva Manasmarani. He said, in my heart, which is like Vrindavan, Amar Man Vrindavan, Amar heart Vrindavan. In the heart, if you want to have Krishna, Divyat Brindaranya, if you want to install Krishna, Singhasanastho, if he has to sit on the golden throne of your heart, then he will not be surviving there. If it's just less like this fish can't survive without liquid, to make your heart komal, make your heart nirmal, and make your heart cool, like a beautiful water. And in that nirmal, komal water of your heart, I'll be happily staying in your heart. Otherwise, I cannot stay. And then there's this disc. The disc, of course, we all know the disc represents the protection that Krishna gives. The disc shows that how I can protect you from the 6 anarthas. Krishna said, don't worry. Lust, anger, pride, greed, anger, illusion, bewilderment. Don't worry. The disc represents the Teja Tattva as explained by the Acharyas. The Teja Tattva means the principle of brilliance of Krishna, the power of Krishna's brilliance of destroying the anarthas. Because when ultimately nothing works, Krishna has the chakra. So this will work. And once chakra comes, there is no way anything can be stopped. Anything can stop the chakra. That's called the Teja Tattva of Krishna. Krishna said, don't worry. These 6 anarthas you might finding very difficult. Just like, Jayadratha, no, not Jayadratha, this gentleman, what is it? Shishupal, right? Shishupal. He was trying, he said, Krishna will allow you to, you might do lusty activities, you might be falling. Again, saying, no, Krishna, what am I doing? So Krishna said, ultimately, if you take shelter of me, one fine day I will send the chakra. Don't worry. My Teja Tattva, the power of brilliance of Krishna will destroy these 6 anarthas. If it doesn't happen now, for sure, it will happen at the last moment of our life. That's our hope. And that's Krishna's assurance. You might struggle your whole life and say, well, I have not achieved it. But as explained in one of the purports, Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj told us way back in 1989, he was in the Brahmacharya ashram. We were all in the ashram. I was staying in the next room. And usually you don't see Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj. That time he was Devamrit Prabhu. You don't seem too excited, right? He's very composed. So once he came out, he was reading Bhagavatam in his ashram down there. There was a bunker. He was sharing the bunker with Radha Gopinath Prabhu and then bunker. So he came out, and he came running. He said, and I was the only person. I said, come, I want to show you something. And he showed in the purport that Krishna Prabhupada says that one fine day you will achieve perfection. I said, see, this shows that it is a sudden thing. It's just, you are sleeping and next day morning you are, not that you are a pure devotee, but you realize you are a son of Krishna. It's quite a sudden thing. So Krishna can suddenly send the chakra and through his Teja Tattva just destroy. So we have to just continue. Krishna says, just continue meditating upon lotus feet. You see this chakra, I will definitely help. And then we have the goad. The mark indicates that, the goad is used to control the elephant. Similarly, it's explained that by constantly meditating upon the lotus feet of mind, you will be able to control the elephant of your mind. Elephant is very difficult to control. The mind is like an elephant. It's like, you can imagine, it's huge. It's colossal. The elephant is colossal. Similarly, this mind is colossal. It's just crazy. And it is an intoxicated, colossal elephant. Just going here and there. Intoxicated by sense gratification. Maya jale baddha hoye. Baddha. Intoxicated also. Tied up. But he said that I will, through this God, if you remember my lotus feet, my dear friend, don't worry. It will be under control. It also shows the path. Yes, this is very interesting. That it shows that this path of meditating upon my feet is the highest. There's nothing else higher. Just like if you're traveling on the back of the elephant, the goat shows the elephant. If you're traveling on the back of the elephant, you are always on the highest level. You will have horses traveling, you will have people on the slope, but a person traveling on the elephant is always on the highest thing. Similarly, the path of bhakti is highest. The path of devotional service where you are meditating upon my feet is the highest. The Acharyas explain the God signifies this. Krishna is indicating to us there is nothing higher than this. Simply continue to worship my lotus feet. There's few more. 3 more. And then we have the thunderbolt. A thunderbolt is Vajra. Similarly, this mark represents that just continue worshipping and meditating upon my lotus feet, Krishna is saying. And I will smash to pieces all your previous karmic reactions. Very interesting, right? We need help in every situation. And Krishna is there to provide help. Okay, you have tons and tons of previous karma. Don't worry, my dear friend. I have this thunderbolt. I just throw it once and the thunderbolt can completely turn to pieces all your previous mountains and mountains of karmic reactions. So Krishna said, don't worry, just hold on to my lotus feet. And the lotus feet, the lotus this represents that please be greedy like the bee. Krishna is saying, just like the bee is constantly wanting to taste the nectar. If you want to really be perfect your life, this lotus, my feet is like the lotus, Charana Kamal. And like the bee, you should be greedy to take the nectar from my feet. It also says the lotus grows in the water body. Similarly, Krishna is indicating that if you want me to grow in your heart, then I will grow in a water body. And the water is nothing but the tears from your eyes. Very interesting. That if you don't, till the time you don't have tears coming from your eyes, tears can be of different types. The tears can be of frustration also. That's not the tears that we are talking about. I think those are hot tears. When you cry hot tears, they are tears of frustration and anger. But Krishna is not talking about those tears. Krishna is talking about cool tears. The tears of separation, the tears of longing, the tears of humility, the tears of despondency of not achieving the feat. That tears. Krishna said, once you have those tears, then I will grow in your heart. And there is a beautiful mark of a flower. A beautiful flower, Pushpa is there. Just like the fragrance of this flower will be spread everywhere. Similarly, the divine fragrance of my lotus feet is spread everywhere, and you simply have to seek it. Jesus Christ said, seek and you shall find. The fragrance of my lotus feet is there everywhere. You will find it in the Bhagavatam, you will find it in the Devotees, you will find it in the holy name, you will find it everywhere. You will find it in the Mother Nature, you will find it in the sunrise, you will find it in the sunset, you will find it everywhere. Just seek and you shall find. That fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet is spread everywhere. The only problem is we are not seeking it. Because we don't seek it, you don't find it. Jesus Christ said, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall open. Similarly, Krishna is saying, my fragrance, like the flower, it is not thus not localized. The fragrance of flower is spread all over. Similarly, you seek the lotus feet of Krishna in various things. If you seek, you will find the lotus feet, and you'll be just so busy. I was discussing just few minutes back with one of my very close friends. He said, if you're busy thinking about Krishna, then there's no time to think about Maya. You need to be busy working under a devotee, sheltered of a devotee. Then there's no problem. But we are not busy finding the fragrance of Krishna's lotus feet. We are just busy, like the fly, finding the faults in others. And if you have the fly mentality on, if you have a FM on, then you will simply catch the frequency of frustration, the frequency of Maya. But if you have the bee mentality on, seeking the fragrance of Krishna, then you will be connecting, you will be tuned into the resonance of Krishna's lotus feet. So the purpose, of course, it goes on, the beautiful description of Krishna's lotus feet. So if you are constantly meditating upon Krishna's lotus feet, then we will not be in a situation of being a great fool. Another thing that we can sort of understand is Krishna is saying that you do all these things. It's like something that we can decipher from this. It is not maybe clearly mentioned, but Krishna is saying you do this. But if you do all these things, but you're not thinking of me, then you are a greatest fool. So Krishna is also indicating that you may not be able to do all these things. Because how many people can at least I was thinking, if I have to be a Vanaprastha and I have to live in a way that I emaciate my body completely, I say I can't do that. So Krishna is also indicating that if you can't do it, but if you at least remember me, that's more important. And that's the aspect which I sort of honestly wanted to share with all of us today, is the aspect of being very honest. Sometimes you do things which you are told to do, but you are not able to do it, and because you are not honest to yourself, you are not honest to the people around you, then what I've seen, if you are not rightly situated on the plane of honesty, if your current situation of life is not based on honesty of what you really want or what you really are, then in my interaction with devotees, I've experienced that if they are not based on honesty, if their situation is not honest, if it's an artificial situation that they are trying to live with, then they'll slowly, or rather they may be experiencing three things. They experience insecurity, fear and loneliness. You see. So this whole process of bhakti is not a process to be executing bhakti with dishonesty. Krishna has made it very simple that do whatever ultimately you have to think of Krishna. Always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. All of the processes are simply this verse. What is the Sanskrit verse? Smartatam Krishna Vishwatam Jatuchit. Then something. Sarve Vidya Nishatma Seva Kinkara. Very beautiful words. These are the verses that we should be really thinking about all the time. That always think of Krishna, never forget Krishna. All of the vidhis, all of the rituals are kinkar, are simply servant to this principle. So all the rituals that Krishna has mentioned here are very important. Krishna says these are powerful, exalted penances as a very powerful rituals. But if these rituals, you can't do it and you feel very artificial in doing it, no point doing it at the cost of forgetting Krishna. So be very honest. Because if you're not honest, then you will become insecure, fearful and lonely. So many times, we see that as devotees, we are not very, very honest many times, because there is tremendous, whether you like it or not, there is tremendous peer pressure that we assume on ourselves, and there may be also that we are expected to behave the way we should be behaving. But how long can we simply be behaving in the way others expect us to behave? When will we start living our life? So this comes a point of addressing the need to address our needs. Please understand, we are not advocating the principle of giving into our needs, because giving into our needs becomes sense gratification. That's something that we want to reject. But if you do not address your needs, again there's a difference between giving into your needs. Giving into your needs means doing everything that you need to do. My need is to really, again be watching IPL. I'm just giving an example since it is something biggest maya right now for many people. So you want to give in, I want to see because I have to do it. I want to be, I was told that don't be artificial, so this is what I want to be. No. We are not telling you to give in to the needs, but we have to address those needs. We cannot ignore those needs. Many times devotees live years and years and years ignoring their needs, and that's why they find themselves lonely, insecure, fearful, unsteady. Address your needs. There's a need. Ask yourself, seek guidance of few people who can tell you, okay, what are my, there are needs. Every individual soul has a serious need. It's explained that, what is it? I lost that. Anyway, so it's said that we all have serious needs, and to the extent we do not address those needs, you will not be honest. So Krishna is not a fanatic God. He is not a ritualistic God. Yeah, he's a loving God. And he wants devotees to lovingly come to him. And one of the important aspects of lovingly serving Krishna is if you are rightly situated in your swadharma. Swadharma doesn't just mean the varna and the ashram. Even amongst the varna and the ashram, you have to be situated in your natural disposition. Again, please don't take it in the way that you are trying, we have to just give in to our needs. You can dovetail it so that those needs, those particular aspirations that we have, you can use it to serve Krishna. Otherwise, not being honest with ourselves, we can't last for long. And that dishonesty for a long period of time makes us very unstable in Krishna consciousness, and that will not allow us to meditate upon the lotus feet of Krishna, because you are not rightly situated. Many years back, I mean the last time that Tamal Krishna Goswami came to our temple, it was a big festival. I mean, having Goswami Maharaj in our temple was beautiful. And it was, I think, it was just few years after my Krishna consciousness. He left his body in 2002, so I think this must be in 1990. He came in 2001 or 2001 or 2. So he came here and he gave a beautiful lecture. He said, he put his hand like this and said, if you are not situated on the right platform, then you cannot do your drama properly, he said. He said, if a grihastha is supposed to be a brahmachari and he is on the platform of a grihastha, he will be a miserable brahmachari. And if a brahmachari is supposed to be a grihastha, he was talking about the Varna ashrams. And then he went on to say that if you do not understand your needs, and if you don't understand, and then he said, of course he was very open speaker, he said, for American, he said, I need a AC room when I come to India. It is my need. I cannot be artificially saying, no, I will stay in a tapasya and I don't need it. I need an AC room for me to be sort of comfortable in Krishna consciousness. I mean, this was the way he was quite a forthright speaker. So what I gathered from this is that there is a need to be honest. I mean, there is a need to be honestly knowing your needs. And then take guidance from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra to really address those needs. And then if you are rightly situated on those needs, if you are rightly executing those needs, then you will be able to meditate upon the lotus feet of Krishna. And that's exactly what Krishna is saying here. Let's not be fools. Because if you forget the purpose of the whole ritual, the whole ritual is to help you to remember Krishna. But if you are not rightly, honestly situated, the word that I'm stressing right now is honestly situated. Be very honest with yourself. Ask yourself, am I honest? Or am I leading artificial life? Because, you can't live artificial life for long. And to the extent you delay your decision of being honest, to the extent it becomes more and more difficult. So be honest. That honesty does not mean being compromised, being shameless. Please understand that. And many times as a materialist, honesty means shameless. Well, this is what I am. I mean, many years back there was a person who came from Budapest and I was told to take care of him. He was not a devotee, but he came from Budapest. He was a young boy. So this was the 31st December last. So I told him that, see, we have different programs. He was staying in our hospital. So we have different programs, so you can attend this program, that program, late, the year-end program. So then I met him on 2nd of January. And then I said, so how was your New Year's Eve? Or how was your New Year? Then he said, he said my Karmini, I said, you talk about these 4 principles that you told me about, no meditating, no gambling, no intoxicating, illicit sex, that I broke all of them yesterday. And he was saying with great pride. I said, oh my God, how shameless. So sometimes, many times, being honest does not mean being shameless. Devotees don't have to be shameless. They have to address their needs and be very conscious about those needs and share it with the right people who can help you to address those needs. Because addressing the needs does not mean shameless, does not mean that you just talk about it everywhere and well, this is the way I am, what to do. I've been living a very artificial life now, but this is what my life is and this is what is. No, devotees have to have the power of discrimination, viveka buddhi. With the viveka buddhi, you address the needs. So here Krishna is very clearly indicating the purpose of, I'm sorry it is getting late, the purpose of everything that we do. That's why Prahlad Maharaj, he did tons of tapasya, so much tapasya he did. But what was his final conclusion? I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but what I've got in the form of your lotus feet is the red diamond. So what is Prahlad Maharaj, his experience about all the tapasya, and he did intense tapasya, eating just dry leaves every few days, that's intense, at the age of 5. But his whole conclusion is, and this is a great thing, let's you see the conclusion, and we just use the conclusion. He said that you don't have to do that. You don't have to really look for broken pieces of glass, because we all have the glory by the Prabhupada's mercy and our Gurudev's mercy. We have the red diamond. Let's think about that. And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through the example of the milk drinking Brahmana, we don't have time, he indicated that all this tapasya of just drinking milk and fruits and everything is of no use. Get that milk drinker out, he said. He doesn't have a place in Shiva Sangan. Out. Because all this tapasya doesn't really attract Krishna at all. If you want to attract Krishna, it is attracted by honest, straightforward bhakti to his lotus feet. Sarala bhakti. Straightforward bhakti. Not duplicitous bhakti. So if you just have sarala bhakti, honest bhakti, Krishna is attracted. And that's how Krishna is saying here that ultimately you may be able to do this penances, you may not be able to do penances. But if you do the penances just to achieve some material pleasures, then you are a greatest fool. Might as well you just do something less. But you always remember Krishna. That's the most important thing. Thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna. I think we will not take questions. We already gone beyond time. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki.